Next speaker has become a dear friend of mine and the entire group, and she is anything but laid back. I just want to say, without further ado, of course, Nicole McMurray of AppleOne. Take it off.
If you interview my husband, he says he takes a lot of naps when I'm not home because I talk a lot. But I won't today. We're on a time limit. So I'm Nicole McMurray. I am the regional manager for AppleOne Employment Services. I don't know if you've ever heard of us. I know we have some clients in the room, but I've been with AppleOne for 14 years, 14 and a half years. And so I just want to thank you for being a part of our room today, for being a part of this discussion. Nothing is more fun than talking about the next recession when the economy is so great, right? It's kind of like opening up your credit card bill on Christmas morning. Nobody wants to do that, but you care enough to prepare, and so I appreciate that. In our region, we all based our leadership this year on the book Great by Choice, and we loved that idea as leaders about productive paranoia. Eric did such a good job defining that for us. So we know in what we do that things are going to go wrong, but do we always take the steps to prepare? And that's what we're going to work on this morning. I think we like to think that we're a lot more prepared than we are. February 14th falls on the same day every year, and yet on the 13th, if you go to Target in the aisle, you'll see 100 men finding cards for their beautiful wives, right? So we know it's on the horizon, but for whatever reason, we don't take the time to prepare. Last July, at our President's Council for AppleOne, our CEO, Janice Bryant-Howroyd, told the story of the three little pigs. And we all know the story of the three little pigs. And so she asked us as business leaders within her organization, do we have a brick house, do we have a wood house, or do we have a straw house? And now every single month at AppleOne, we roll out a brick house report for all of the offices within the organization, and we look at different metrics within our business to make sure that we have sustainability in what we do. And so I love those ideas, right? This productive paranoia, but then planning and understanding our business. And so when I worked with Jeff, I had all these ideas in my head of things that I wanted to work on, but we wanted to create an activity that would bring these two thoughts together. So a brick house, and this is going to be in your book, we're going to work out together, but we're going to go through this in just a moment. I just thought for us to be connected, if I could just briefly share a little bit of my story. I know we raised our hands, some of us have lived through recessions. But I started AppleOne in 2004 and moved into a leadership role in 2008. And the word recession started looming, right? It was on the news, it was in different articles. I had no business exposure to that word, and so I didn't understand what it would mean. In 2009, I'm in a staffing agency. My job at the time was to find people jobs. It still is today, admin, clerical, accounting, that's what we did. And in 2009, my full-time job became letting people go. All I did was call people and tell them, our client's closing, you don't have a job anymore, right? Your assignment ends today. It was one of the most difficult and challenging experiences that I've had as a leader, right? Just calling people and ending their assignments. It was a terrible place to be. And we were really focused on admin and clerical, and so that was something that our clients could easily say, hey, we don't need this right now. So I called my boss and I asked if I could organically start an IT division within AppleOne. We were struggling. All of our candidates weren't finding jobs. And the government was still spending money, and we have our top secret clearance. So at that time, a gaming company closed, and I took 21 software engineers and I placed them at a Department of Defense client. To put it in a numbers perspective, in 2009, the year before, we had done $300,000 in profit after all of our operating expenses. In 2009, it was $100,000. And then the following year, when we added the different divisions, and I'll explain this in a second, we did close to $500,000, and then over $900,000, and then we became the leading branch in the entire United States for AppleOne. And I only share those numbers with you because every dollar that we make at AppleOne is attached to somebody finding work. And so I was so excited that we were able to change our circumstance. So when we look at areas of strength, right, for a brick house, its improvement will just enhance the sustainability, right? I'm walking us through this exercise that we're going to do together. wood house, this means it needs work, right? If we're evaluating our business, it's going to require a plan of action to transition. That's why we're here, right? We hear about productive paranoia. Aflac, right? We buy insurance because they scare us that we're going to get hit by a car on the way out of the parking lot, right? And so how do we think about this? What is that going to look like? And then straw house, immediate action required, right? This could burn down at every second. That big bad wolf could come and take you down, right? And we do not want that to happen in our business. Fire bullets, mini experiments. What does this mean? In the book Great by Choice, they talk about, if you haven't read it, firing bullets and then cannonballs. And I love this idea. I love this methodology because sometimes we just go all guns a-blazing, don't we? Right, we have an idea, we take all of our gunpowder, everything we have, we launch it into that cannon and we just let it explode and we miss the target. And then we're completely out of all of our resources. But if we fire mini bullets and we decide, hey, this might work, right? This could be something that might work for my organization, and we hit the target, then we can load up that cannonball and have a little bit more confidence, right? Or a whole lot of confidence. I told my story just briefly because we fired little bullets, right? Is technical going to work? I don't know what that looks like. Let me just see. Oh yeah, this is really working, right? I like this. We're going to load up this cannonball and ride this puppy. Okay, so fire bullets. Here is the clinical definition in the book. It is a concept developed in the book Great by Choice. First, you fire bullets, low cost, low risk. That is the key, right? Low cost, low risk, low distraction experiments. Have you ever worked for a leader that decided they were going to change something overnight and then distracted everyone, and it never works, right? That's why you started your own company. To figure out, that was your motivation, right? To figure out what will work, calibrating your line of sight by taking small shots, right? That word calibration is really important. Then once you have empirical validation, that's that qualified gut feeling, right? You fire a cannonball. And that's concentrated resources into a big bet. It's still not guaranteed, but man, we're feeling good about this decision, right? Calibrated cannonballs correlate with outside results. Uncalibrated cannonballs correlate with disaster. The ability to turn small, proven ideas, bullets, into huge hits, cannonball, counts more than the sheer amount of pure innovation, right? It is our job as leaders to prepare our people so when the next dip in the market happens, we can say, hey guys, we've prepared for this. Eyes on me as your leader, it's going to be okay. It's going to hurt, it's going to sting, but man, we've got those acorns cranking, right? We have that savings account. We've prepared for this. It's going to be okay. And I do a lot of training for AppleOne on culture and team development, and people always ask me, what is it like to run $1 million team? And I always remind them, I never think about that. I only think about what it was like to run a team that was losing everything, right? That prepared me for so much, and I want the strength for my team and for you guys, right, to be able to say, eyes on me, it's going to be okay. So I'm actually doing this with my leadership team in my region at AppleOne, and Jeff and I kind of got together and decided what would be the most important things for this room. And in adult learning, we never like to listen for a long time, right? So we're going to, in a moment, break us out into groups so we can have some interaction and spend some time together. We have some really smart people in this room, and I'm excited to learn from each other. Just a housekeeping item, if you're in a group, everyone is equally important and has something to say. So I'd ask if you tend to be a time crook that you would put it aside, right? We all have those time pirates in our morning meeting, right? We're like, we get you have ideas, close it, okay? So in this activity, we're going to rank ourselves, right? In the group environment, you either have a brick house, a wood house, or a straw house. It's okay. I have some straw house areas that I'm working on right now too, right? The big bad wolf is out there. So we're going to work through 5 areas, and then how we combined it, right? 3 little pigs, and then Great by Choice. How is this all coming together? Your mind's about to be blown because it's right here. So client diversity. I wrote out some questions to get you guys thinking. Do you have clients that will spend money with you in an economic downturn? We call these clients recession investors, right? That's how I want you guys to look at them. Who will spend money during an economic downturn? Are they in your client database? We had offices at AppleOne that were highly based in construction that absolutely crashed in the market. There was no business sustainability, right? So now with my team, if you get a client potentially in construction or hospitality, I want you to get a client in aviation or in government services, something in our business model that's going to balance out that idea of sustainability, that if 2 of my clients went away and the next recession hits, team, eyes on me, it's going to be okay, we prepared for this. So I want you to rank it right now, and then as a group, interactive, don't do it yet, how do I fire a bullet, and then what will be my cannonball, right? What's going to be kind of a low-risk way to explore this, and then maybe you don't answer the cannonball question right now, we can launch those puppies soon. Okay, concentration risk. Eric touched on this too. What does your business mix look like? Does 50% or more of your business rest in one client? How long is your sales cycle to obtain new business, right? I don't think we think about that. So if our biggest client went away, how long is it going to take to get another one? Is your business cycle a year? Well, let's get started, people, right? Let's have a kickoff party tomorrow. Again, you're going to rank yourself bullet, cannonball, and we're going to discuss this as a group. I was on the phone with Jeff. I'm like, I like to call this the Christopher Columbus principle, right? We only have 5 of these. Target business versus new business. Do you know what additional revenue streams exist in your industry? If so, what would be the potential GM on that sector? Who on your team can begin to explore? Who will be your Christopher Columbus, right? We talked about low distractions in Great by Choice. So who's that one person on your team that you're like, hey, can you go just sail a little bit and let's see if this works? For me, IT, I wanted to get started in it. Is it going to be profitable? The answer was it did. It created a lifeline for my team, sustainability. So there might be an area or a sector that you're excited about, but what are the gross margin percentages on that? What is it going to offer to your organization? Will you be able to make money in that area? And then elastic boundaries. I love saying this to my team. Do you live with productive paranoia? Do you know what you'd be willing to give up to retain your business during the next downturn? Do you have a plan to engage and to measure client loyalty, and will that stay with you? Right? So for me, it's always asking the question, what would I be willing to give up, right? What would my markups look like? What would it look like if I said to a client, let's work this out together? And so we always want to have those conversations now to be willing to know what that looks like when it happens, right? And then last, people and process. How would you rank your people and processes right now? Eric touched on this. We're just going to do a little bit more. Do you have the right people right now? Do you possess is it documented and reviewed, your processes? Who do you need to hire that does not exist on your team right now? I have some questions that I could give you after. I don't know if they made it in the book, Jeff, the questions that we talked about. I don't think they're in there, but okay. But I have those if you want me to email you, no problem. But just, do we have the right people right now, right? So to begin to look at that. So there's 5 areas that I think are really important to our business. We're going to get together in groups of 3 or 4, right? If that's okay, we'll just kind of go through this. Again, interactive, we're all here to learn, no time crooks. So we're going to take the next, I think, 20 minutes, Jeff, does that work? To just kind of go through this, talk about a group, and do some idea sharing. So form those circles, camp. Here we go. All right. You guys can just break out and decide 3 or 4, and I'll let you guys do the math. Be crazy.